Okay guys, Bobby here. That's the 630i GT Gran Turismo. I think it's no longer news that BMW is calling the Gran Turismo a 6 Series now, and they have cancelled the luxury two-door Gran Tourer 6 Series Coupe, and they push it up a notch, make it even more powerful, more luxurious, and called it an 8 Series now. So we're not sure yet. I am not sure yet what BMW's 6 moniker is gonna encompass, because all this while they have a rather broad variant range within one number. They don't simply use up their numbers, you know. So this is called a 6 now, and I guess it's very nice to have a turntable here because you get to completely see the profile of the car. Now, of course, it is a lot prettier than the 5 Series Gran Turismo that it replaces. But of course, BMW wouldn't call it that because they want we all to see that this is a 6. It's no longer a 5 now, you know. 5 is for proletariats, right? I mean, no lah. So you guys know I'm a 6 Series owner, so I did not bring my 6 Series today because I scare she will melajo, you know. Anyway, it's a very good looking car. Now what this is a sporty 4-seater or 5-seater. I think now they have the bench seat, right? So it's a sporty family car that can churn miles and miles in absolute comfort, and it has more space than the regular 5 Series. I think I've said this in my previous videos. People who own an E-Class or an Audi A6 or a 5 Series, they actually have very few cars to upgrade to. Why? I mean, you have the 7 Series, you have the A8, you have the S-Class, but those cars, the moment you upgrade into those cars, you have to make sure you look like somebody. If not, you're just gonna look like a driver, a chauffeur, right? So many people refuse to buy in. I mean, many 5 Series, A6 or E-Class owners just don't see themselves in an S-Class or a 7 Series or an A8. And if you were to say that they can upgrade to a Panamera or a 6 Series Grand Coupe or a CLS, that to me is an upgrade in terms of the price you pay, but it's a downgrade in terms of the luxury real estate that you're getting. Why? Because those cars have traditionally offered less room than the one below them. So BMW is the only one that comes up with the 5 Series Gran Turismo, which is now the 6 Series Gran Turismo, that offers way more interior room than a 5 Series or E-Class or A6, but it still looks very individual, it still looks very personalized, it still looks like a car you can hop into with your shorts and slippers on a weekend and just go drive or go places or fetch your family around. It doesn't look so executive, so stately like a 7 Series, okay? Now this car is on the stage. I wouldn't want to go on the stage and affect everybody's photo taking session. I'm just gonna move on to the side. So the side here, you have a grey color 6 Series GT. So now they call it the 630i GT. So you guys would have guessed that this is now a 2-liter powertrain with 250 over horsepower, 400 Newton meters of torque. Now my 6 Series is 640i, which is a 3-liter 320 horsepower car, but of course that's an older generation powertrain now. I mean N55, okay? But I tell you, BMW's new 2-liter powertrains, right, they are no joke. Even though this one is 2 cylinders less, right, I don't think it's any bit slower. Why? It produces the same 400 Newton meters of torque as the 3-liter, okay? Now, unlike the previous 5 Series Gran Turismo, let me tell you the things that they have removed, okay? First of all, they retain a unique front. So the front might look similar to the standard 5 Series, but actually it is different. The front end, the headlamps and all this are not swappable to a 5 Series. Now you guys know I have no interest in taking videos of engine bays because to me engine bays are boring nowadays in new cars. And oops, can you help me, bro? One side, one side. No, press on the bonnet. 1, 2, 3. I don't want to throw bonnet. Anyway, now look at the front. Oh, that side didn't latch. Okay, so look at the front. It looks similar to the 5, but it is not interchangeable. Okay, everything here is unique. The grills are huge, but they are sideways huge, not as in tall. They are very wide, and you can see here they open up and close for aerodynamic airflow. Adaptive LEDs are here. Now, as I was saying just now, the new 6 Series GT also has a unique front end. Now everybody knows that this is related to the 5 Series, but then there's nothing in front that is interchangeable with a 5 Series. So it is unique in its own way. Everything is bespoke, and I like the front. The front looks really, really good. We thought the 5 Series was good looking, right? This front is even better looking, and I like the fact that there are no cut lines. Remember how I don't like cut lines on the bonnet? It ruins the lines, especially beautiful evocative designs like this. And it's very nice to see that they have sculpted the front bumpers to be slightly outwards a bit, and then they have the grills, and then they have some space between the engine and the front. You see, now this is a big car, this is a big bonnet, but inside is only a 2-liter engine, so there are some space to play with. Of course, in other markets you will have a 6-cylinder engine, you will have a 8-cylinder engine, okay? But for us Malaysians, 250 over horsepower, 400 Newton meters of torque, that's plenty enough. And who can resist 380 ringgits of road tax compared to 2,100 if it were a 3-liter car? Right, now let's look at the interior. The 5 Series has one of the best interiors in its class. Now, it may not be as pretty as the E-Class interior, but it is certainly very, very well built. So the 6 Series actually carries the entire interior of the 5 Series, and it's lock, stock, barrel here. Now, what we can see here is there are, of course, optimization of costs involved. Okay, first of all, we get some really high quality real wood, open pore wood that is polished but not lacquered, so it feels really, really good to the touch. All right, the dashboard is leather wrapped, okay, but these leather, as what we can tell, are not the high grade Napa leather, but I don't mind that. I mean, my 6 Series has the same leather as well. All right, and here of course we have the newest touchscreen iDrive system, which is really, really good, very user friendly, and I believe it also has the gesture control. See, it has that. It still has the gesture control as well. All right, now what else do we have here? All these are there. Look at that, it's touch sensitive. The buttons are touch sensitive, so this is identical to the 5 Series. Even down to the steering wheel, it is identical, and I believe the seats are not that different as well. All right, so what we have here, again, the really nice wood surfacing over here. Some may not like the pattern, but I think it's fine, it's nice. Wireless charger over here, and then you have cup holders, the iDrive knob. The new is no longer new, it debuted in the 7 Series, and then the 5, and then here. And I'm sure this one will have the keys with the, what do you call that? I forgot what BMW calls it. It's the key with the screen. All right, so here's a compartment, and largely very, very similar to the 5 Series, if not completely identical to the 5 Series in terms of the front compartment. Now, do you guys remember the price of the 530i when it was launched? The price of the 530i is 390 over 1,000. So think of it this way, this car is only 50,000 more than the 530i, 50k, and then you get a larger car. You get a car with frameless doors, a more sporty profile, a more unique profile, and the doors open 90 degrees. Look at that, almost 90 degrees. All right, let's look at the rear. Now, the rear is where the difference is compared to the 5 Series. First of all, as you entered here, You have the nice GT badge emblazoned here. You know, just now I instinctively lowered my head to go in, but actually I do not need to, because this car has been optimized. Its roofline was optimized that there is a lot of headroom for a slanted. Look at that. I have plenty of headroom. Now, first thing I can tell, because I just reviewed a 5 GT not so long ago, the sitting position of the new 6 GT is different from the 5 GT. It is not as slanted, and the thigh support is not as deep as the 5 GT. So in terms of optimizing space from this lower profile, because this whole car is now lower than the previous old 5 Series Gran Turismo. The whole car sits lower, is sleeker, so they have optimized the room. In terms of leg room, right, it is very spacious. Look at that. Very, very spacious, but it is not it is unlike the old 5 Series, whereby the 5 GT is massive compared to the regular 5 Series. This is not too big of a difference, but there are. So you can think of it, this car, as almost equivalent to a short wheelbase 7 Series. Okay, the air vents are mounted on the B pillars, and then here what's unique is you get these. Look at that, and nothing on top, right? This thing stands on its own. So that's a premium feature, of course. I mean, you need something different, right? So that's the rear seat. So that, like I said again, I'll recap again. The rear seats are not as slanted as the old 5 GT, and the thigh supports are not as deep as the old 5 GT. Now, the back here, the old 5 GT has a very complicated dual opening hatch. This one doesn't, okay, because honestly speaking, that is a bit over-engineered. It is massively over-engineered. There are hinges and motors over there at this point and at that point, and it adds a lot of weight to the whole hatchback, okay? But the primary objective of why they do that back then is to cut noise. Is to cut off noise, because they want a hatchback. Now, the biggest difference between a hatchback and a sedan is that the sedan has a dedicated compartment, so you actually isolated the sound that is transmitted from the struts, you know, the rear boots and all that. So you actually isolate that in a sedan. But in a hatch, it is very difficult to isolate that, because you have all the components down here emanating noise up, and then this cabin goes through. So there is a lot of engineering that needs to be done to make that happen. As you can see, unlike normal hatches, look at how thick the overall sides are. The whole thing is still very, very thick. So inside there is a lot of soundproofing materials going on there, and that's still the objective here. They cut down on the weight of the hatch by not having the hinges, the complicated motors of the 5 Series Gran Turismo, but in the 6 Series Gran Turismo, they still have these really, really massive chunky bits that actually helps to improve soundproofing. Alright, let's take a look underneath here. Huge compartment available underneath here, and it holds on its own because there's a stopper on the struts. So it's not the most elegant solution that I think that's available, but this is thick nonetheless, and then it helps to reduce noise as well. This part here, I think, is a false floor. Someone has dropped it there. Look at this false floor this parcel shelf. It is still very thick, and unlike the usual ones, it provides soundproofing as well. Now, what we see here is a boot with 1 panel, 2 panel, and 3 panel that their main objective is soundproofing. Okay, now this is, to me, is very straightforward, because when you cover the boot, when this part actually sits together with this, it acts as a cover. So what that does is it stops noise from coming from under the undercarriage and all that. And yeah, compared to the old 5 GT, where they use really complicated engineering to engineer away all that, which means a lot more maintenance as well. Now they use a very straightforward, very Japanese approach, I would say. Okay, these are the buttons for you to drop the seats, and other than that, there are no more surprises in this car. Okay, oh, of course, you have this, the powered spoiler. So as a conclusion, this car is not as complicated as the 5 GT. There are less novelty factor stuffs being engineered in it, but they have gone more pragmatic in their approach.